And I really hope that some people have an aha moment like I did and other people have, because you know what? Maybe we need to do things differently. So this has been a great wake-up call, especially for aging, for our skin.
Hey there, welcome to the Evolving Ageless podcast. This is the enlightened woman's antidote to aging. I'm your host, Michelle Dreilich, and as always, I am on a mission to change the way women age. And so that's all of us, and in small ways, how we can make little changes that have a big impact on the future of our lives, right? Very simple. So each week I'm joined by experts in their field that share the latest and greatest information on their research, their experiences in their clinical practice, their knowledge, all with this idea of little hinges swing big doors and make a huge difference in our health, our happiness, and our wellness. So today is no surprise. I've got Dr. Eric Zielinski, Dr. Eric Z, Dr. Z. You may have heard of him. We are going to talk everything essential oils today. Dr. Z is a national bestseller, right? He's got a book called The Healing Power of Essential Oils and another book called The Essential Oils Diet. He's pioneered natural living, biblical health education since 2003. In fact, I was a follower of his years ago. He's trained as an aromatherapist. He's a public health researcher, which is really important in the world of essential oils. He's also a chiropractor and started a website called naturallivingfamily.com. So definitely check that out. That site actually serves over 5 million natural health seekers every year. And so I know that I use it as a resource. I love this topic today. I'm excited to get in there, learn something new, dispel some myths. And you know, it's still 2020 and we find ourselves in the middle of, I dare I say it, a pandemic still. And so there's a lot of information out there. There's some misinformation out there. And I think we're going to cover some really interesting and exciting topics along the way. So, Dr. Z, welcome. It's so good to have you here.
Michelle, thank you for having me. This is really exciting. And, you know, regardless of, you mentioned 2020, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully someone's listening to this in 2021, 2022 and beyond. You know, the far-reaching effects of what happened this year are not going to be, we can't undo. I guess that's the best way. And what we're going to share today, we're going to kickstart some of the best lessons that we learned during this pandemic. And I really hope that some people have an aha moment like I did and other people have, because you know what? Maybe we need to do things differently. So this has been a great wake-up call, especially for aging, for our skin, and got so much to share. So I don't want to like pull the cat out of the bag here. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I want to start first. Let's start at the very, very top, really big picture, right? Because not everyone, you know, there was a movement, I would say, in the essential oil world. So, you know, probably 5 to 10 years ago where it was everywhere you turn, there were essential oils.
Yeah.
And some people kind of got into it. Some people didn't. So I want to speak to everyone right now for a moment and just say, you know, what does the research say? And let's talk about specifically, because I know it's vast. I mean, we could spend a whole day just talking about the actual health issues, conditions, signs, symptoms that essential oils can be helpful for. Okay, let's dive in on the big picture. Tell us, just at the very top level, what are essential oils? What do they do for us? Why do we need them? How can we use them?
I mean, it really was about 5, 10 years ago that the network marketing companies, and there are two large ones that have overtaken the world with grassroots education. They made essential oils famous. And now you have Bath and Body Works and Walmart and all these companies selling, air quotes, right, quote unquote, essential oil-based products. But here's a fact, and I want everyone to realize that like olive oil, right, and like wine, essential oils, most of what you see in the market is adulterated. And that's shocking. I mean, when you have 75 to 80% of all the essential oils on the market right now being sold to consumers are either fake or they're adulterated with synthetic chemicals, doesn't mean they're necessarily harmful, but I would say there's a big old fat question mark that says the burden of proof is on the manufacturer on this point, because we do know that the body always reacts and responds properly to what's natural versus what's synthetic. So it's not to say that if you get in a fake essential oil and put it on or use it in your fuser, it's going to immediately hurt you. But I'll tell you something, it's infinitely better to use the real deal. And so just as a caution point, because we're approaching holiday season, and it shocks me when I go to the mall or when I look online, essential oil based. Well, I just know by de facto that most of that is just fake. And so I'm of the mindset, I want to get what's in nature. I really want to get what God created. And so we could talk a little bit about how to decipher, but there are books written about this kind of stuff. But the bottom line, to put people's minds to rest, is you need to find a manufacturer that you trust, a company that you trust. And here's the truth. You can't find a bottle of frankincense for $5. It's literally impossible. Just like you can't find a gallon of gasoline for 10 cents anymore. It's literally impossible. The raw materials are that much more expensive. So price is one factor. Another factor is you really got to look at the actual company, and if it's a company that you trust or not. So I say that to say a lot of folks are well-intentioned. And here we are, because of this great grassroots movement that network marketers have done the last 10 years or so. Everyone wants to use essential oils, and it's everywhere. But a lot of folks aren't getting the results that they want. And that's where I come into play. And we help a lot of people get the results that they're looking for. And oftentimes they're not getting the results that they're looking for because they're not using them right. They're not using a pure product, or they're not following, instructions. And that's important. And so let's kind of distill it down. What are essential oils? They're plant-based compounds. I mean, you put your nose into a rose and you smell the volatile organic compounds that are being emitted from the rose. I mean, it's a physical component that interacts with your nose, your nasal mucosa, that stimulates a nervous system impulse that tells your brain that, hey, there's something here. And if you want a way to affect your limbic system, your memory, your mood, your emotions, that is through the olfactory system. That's through smell. But it's a physical particle. And that's kind of hard to, you can see behind me, or for those listening, I have a diffuser. It's a very fine mist. If you're on the other side of my room, you can't see it, but you end up smelling it. And the invisible is powerful. That is what we're talking about here. But going back to the rose example, you're not going to see a pool of rose oil in a rose garden. So you have to distill roughly 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of rose petals just to get one itty bitty bottle of rose. That's extremely concentrated. And so when you put that into perspective, essential oils are plant-based medicine in its purest form. And we could talk a lot about what the research shares on how drugs are being manufactured based off of the chemical compounds that they see in plants, which are essential oils. So regarding aging, regarding healthy living, we do believe, my wife and I, the folks that follow us online at Natural Living Family, we all believe that going a natural route is really, really the best. And we are trying to incorporate natural, non-toxic solutions to a lot of the things that people are exposing themselves to every single day.
I love that. That is so important. And I think we're even, not to date this, but we're going into the holiday season. And this is where people start loading up on candles that they buy at the mall because they're having big sales on them. And they're putting them in each room and lighting them up because of the fragrance or because of the coziness that they get from them. And I don't want us to forget about that topic at some point too, because I want to get into that. And if you want to jump into it now, that's great. But this idea of, there are toxic ways to enjoy fragrance.
Yeah.
And then there are less toxic ways, or an essential oil way, but there's also a health benefit to that way too, right? It's not just the fragrance. There's something else that comes along for the ride. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, artificial fragrances, and this is beyond a shadow of a doubt. Artificial fragrances have been linked to neurocognitive disorders like Alzheimer's, dementia, been linked to autoimmunity, been linked to cancer, been linked, of course, as you would think, allergies and asthma and COPD and respiratory concerns. The reality is our bodies, and I do believe when you look at nature and you see nature, how just nature works, there's a system. And when you put a wrench in this system, nature struggles. I mean, quite frankly, nature will struggle. Overall, nature will overcome. And I've wondered oftentimes, it's not only by the grace of God that we're still alive. I mean, think about all the off-gassing in the chemicals in your building materials, in your carpet, in your paint. Go outside, smell smog. We're just enveloped by airborne pathogens all the time. Right now, everyone's freaking out about airborne pathogens because it's under the guidance of or under the auspices of a pandemic. But that's created awareness, which is good awareness that hey, there are airborne pathogens, and including your wallflowers, including your plugins, including your aerosols, including anything that has a fake smell. A synthetic fake smell, the body literally doesn't know what to do with, just like fake food. The body doesn't know what to do with it. So the body sees and literally perceives a synthetic fragrance like it would a viral or a bacterial or a fungal threat. And so essentially what it does, it compromises your immune function. We've all heard, or maybe you've talked about eating sugar, how if you drink a can of soda, or if you're from Michigan like I am, a can of pop, right? Research has shown your immune system will be compromised for 4 to 6 hours. Why? Because the neutrophils, the white blood cells, are trying to metabolize and kill this pathogen it sees because it's completely foreign. It's not natural. But if you have a little bit of honey, or if you have a little bit of maple syrup, or if you eat an apple, it sees that natural glucose or fructose and the body knows what to do with. The same mentality with synthetic fragrances. And so when people have headaches or migraines or pain, how many people have pain? How many beautiful women and men are trying to age gracefully, but they're bowed down with pain and they're taking anti-inflammatories, which ultimately creates inflammation in the body. And next thing you know, they don't feel youthful. And next thing you know, they don't look youthful. Next thing you know, they're not getting the sleep that they need. This is truly the toe bones connected to the foot bone, connected to the knee bone. It all is a holistic lifestyle. So I cannot stress enough that if someone wants to do something valuable, if someone is looking at, I want to have a good bang for my buck, I want a multi-purpose. I want to save money, do something good for my health, and feel good at the same time. The easiest thing, and why I love essential oils so much, is because you put on your essential oil diffuser to replace your aerosols and your plugins and your fake fragrances, including your fake candles, including anything that's peppermint spray for Candyland Christmas time to, whatever summer spray you might have, scented linen. It's gotten to the point, and it's a good thing. But here's a rule of thumb, and I'm going to make a judgment call, and it's a litmus test that I'm going to encourage you to do. If you could go into Walmart or Super Target or whatever it is that you're going to get your cleaning materials, if you can walk into Walmart down the aisle where they're selling the cleaning materials, especially the laundry soap and stuff and detergent, if you don't feel yucky, get sick, gag, or cough, that means your body's been desensitized. I literally cannot even walk down that aisle without because it's just bombarding me with fake smell, or I'll get an immediate headache, or I'll just ugh. Like I actually have to hold my breath to walk by the aisle. I don't go in the aisle because we make our own or we buy our own stuff. But I've literally have to found myself, if I'm in Walmart or another store, I have to hold my breath to get through. It's just this cesspool. It's like walking in the middle of rush hour in LA. It's just unbelievable. So what are you saying, Doc? I'm saying that if you've enabled your body to become desensitized to it, which I have, that's a red flag. Your body's alarm system isn't working properly. It's very similar to how a chef, which I've done a lot of waitering and serving work, your hands get desensitized to heat. That's why a chef can pretty much pick up a hot flaming pan and be okay because he or she have killed the nerve sensation. You're dumbing down. You're killing your olfactory system. It's burning it. It's not a literal burning, but it's a desensitization, just like burning off the sensory nerves on your fingers. being exposed to too much heat in the kitchen. And that's
Wow.
scary because
Mm,
why do we have sensation? We have sensation to warn us, right? We have sensation.
that's right.
Pain is important. Pain says stay away. Pain tells my 3-year-old, don't touch the stove. So I will guarantee it, when you were first exposed to these fake chemicals, you had some sort of adverse reaction. It's impossible not to, because they're toxic in
Right.
strong doses, which you got the aerosols, you spray it. And first you might have sneezed, you might have coughed, you might have gotten a little headache, you might have been like, ugh. But ultimately what's happening, people are walking around not even knowing, not even having the warning signs anymore. And that's really, really scary. And so once you cleanse yourself of it, and it's really simple, just throw the junk away. And within a couple days or a week, you'll be completely intolerant to the bad stuff. Now your nose can be what it was designed to be, like a dog and like an animal out in nature, to protect you, to smell. We completely lost that protective nature. And so now you smell the essential oil, which is the real version of the stuff that's in your walls, which is in your aerosols and your poo-poo spray. I got a natural poo-poo spray. We love it, but it makes you feel good. We're talking dopamine, serotonin producing essential oils just by smelling it. It's not magic, it's science. And it's just how nature works.
And that's an important key, right? Which is the aerosols and the candles and the fragrances, the artificial fragrances that we're spraying. We might love the scent of them, right? But now we know they're harmful. We've talked about this many, many times on the show. We know they're harmful. But the other side of it, it's like a double positive, because when you're diffusing an essential oil, the smell is natural. You get to enjoy the smells that you've always loved. But just as you mentioned, there's actually a biochemical process that's happening within the body, within the olfactory system. And so that's why we know that lavender makes us relaxed, on these
Yep.
really, really broad brush strokes. I mean, I am by no means an essential oil expert, but I know that there are things that I like, and I know that there are things that I don't. So I know I want to get into beauty, wellness, evolving ageless with essential oils, but let's talk about this because we're following this thread. It's so good. What are some of your favorite fragrances or your favorite essential oils to diffuse? And I've always struggled with, personally, well, how do I put them together? Because I might go out and buy lemon, and I like lemon in my kitchen, but I don't want it in my living room. I like peppermint, but not after 6 p.m., Let's talk about what some of the good ones are that people tend to love and blend together and get kind of the same experience that they like with fragrance.
It's very relative to the person. And if you would have been to my home 10 years ago, my wife would have had a special wallflower plug-in in each room that had its own thing. Like we had the bathroom, so it's like beach smell. So she wanted like the tropical feel and that ambiance. And the kitchen would have like a pumpkin pie thing because she wanted to have that. And the living room had this. Every room had its own little theme. And so what we've done is we could just basically create the whole thing with essential oils. I mean, you can't duplicate, Armani per se, but what do you think Armani is made from, though? People don't realize.
Ultimately, right.
Ultimately, every fragrance is made from a synthetic version or a real version or based off of the compounds of essential oil. So a lot of the folks, in general, what we like to do is wake up with a little bit of perp, just a pep in our step. And we have 5 children, and getting all the kids out and ready for school and all the things that we do. We don't want lavender or vetiver or sandalwood or even a frankincense kind of like chilling us out or calming us or giving us a meditative thought. We want up and go. And that's what a peppermint or a spearmint. And we like combining citrus. And so a peppermint, and you add a couple drops like in the little diffuser here, you put the water to the fill line, and typically it's 100 to 150, maybe 200 milliliters, depending on how large the diffuser is. But in general, 4 to 6 drops of essential oil in total. So we'll do like 3 drops of peppermint, 3 drops of orange. Done deal. And what that does is we love it. I mean, it's our get up and go blend, or you can add a little bit of rosemary to that, or you can add a little bit of spearmint. It's fun. We give recipes as a guideline. In my book, The Healing Power of Essential Oils, I have almost 200 different recipes and just blends that people can play with, but they're a baseline. It's kind of like, we want this to be your Betty Crocker test kitchen. We want you to practice. And Betty Crocker gives you great recipes in the book, but they're basically made to give you a foundation so you can be like, oh, let me try this, let me try that. And that's where people have a lot of fun. But when you know the basic ratios, that gives you set. And I don't want to get too in depth. Like I cover it in my book though, high, middle, low note. Like that's perfumery speak. Like peppermint is a high note. It's something that you get really quick. It's something that perks you up really immediately, where there's other low note smells like a vetiver, which takes a moment or two for your mind to catch up with. I mean, again, just how the mind works with different intensities of smell. So you want to blend things together. Like a peppermint and a spearmint and a wintergreen, those are all high notes of like, whoa, that might be a little too much for people. Kind of need to balance it out with something a little more grounding or something else. So in general, there are some blending guidelines, but that's where the essential oil companies come from. And these folks got it dialed in. I mean, every essential oil company on the market that's worth their weight in salt sells an immunity blend. It's usually a mixture of clove, cinnamon bark or leaf, eucalyptus, rosemary, lemon, and or orange. It's just you choose those 6 oils and it's a combination of those, and everyone sells it because people like it. And it kind of smells like pumpkin pie spice-ish, and people love that smell. For those people outside of America, believe it or not, Michelle, I didn't know this. No one knows what pumpkin pie spice is in Australia. They're like, what are you talking about? So it's like when you go on Amazon and type up pumpkin pie spice. Anyway, it's a spice that people put in pumpkin pie, like clove and cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice.
There's
I'm missing one. Ginger.
deep woodsy smells. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Root
like the fun little stuff, apple cider stuff. So again, we use the essential oils based off of what we're trying to accomplish. Like right here, right now, I want to be, I want to be upbeat. I don't want to be like making people asleep right now with how I'm talking. I want to be focused. I don't want to be like scatterbrained. So I'm using some uplifting spruce and citrus oils, like tree oils, like the spruces, Douglas fir, silver fir, and orange and lemon. And these oils blend well together. But there's something about being out in nature that I love. And I don't know about people ever hear of forest bathing. We could talk a whole lot about that. But there's something about being out in a forest and just absorbing the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is being permeated with the essential oil. That's why that's what you smell, the pine cones. You're smelling the essential oils being emitted. Well, I like that. It helps me focus. It helps clear away distractions. It makes me feel good. I love forest bathing. I forest bathed with my infant yesterday for about an hour. We were outside in the middle of a forest, just hanging out, just doing nothing.
So good.
Bring a little bit of that into your room if that's what you
want.
want. Right?
That.
So when you're working, focus on oils that can help with that meditation. Focus, like again, I mentioned vetiver and I mentioned sandalwood and frankincense and the tree oils, the resins, myrrh, like those are known to help with meditation spiritually from the beginning of time. These are like the ancient incense resins and oils that people have used. Sleepy time, you've mentioned it, lavender, folks, Roman chamomile, German chamomile, they're wonderful. You might have a little chamomile tea with you, but put a drop or two in your diffuser. It just creates a different kind of atmosphere. But what we're doing is we're hacking into the mind chemistry. We're hacking into telling your brain, okay, it's time to do this. It's time to do that. And we are in this synthetic box all day long. And our ancestors weren't in this synthetic box.
Right.
I mean, think of it. The lighting, the walls, the floor. I mean, one research study I reviewed shared that up to 93% of the modern American's life is spent indoors. 93%. Just put that into perspective. I mean, if you are blessed to live 100 years, that means 7 years of your life only is spent outdoors, enjoying what some may say you were designed by God to enjoy: the fresh air, the sunlight, the natural aromas coming from the trees and the plants and the herbs and everything, and just being out there. So that, that's an eye opener. How do we bring a little bit of that inside? And that's really what essential oils are. You don't maybe have the luxury of stopping and smelling the roses all day, right? Who does in our busy
Right.
society? But maybe you could bring in some rose oil, and maybe you can bring in that intentional method to put yourself in a position where you're smiling, you're happy, you're doing things that boost your mood, because who doesn't smile when they're in a rose garden looking at the beauty, right?
Right.
And even though you can't see the beauty in its natural form when you're indoors all day long, you could smell it. $5 or $10, maybe $20 on the most high end. Get some flowers, bring them in your home, and try to focus on the visual, try to focus on the olfactory beauty that we get
Mm.
outside and bring it inside, because that will change your physiology, that will change your outlook. And one of the most dangerous things about the pandemic is the isolation of being stuck in a place you don't want to be stuck in. And quite frankly,
Right.
this shelter in place or quarantine or lockdown, whatever it is in the state that you're in, country you're in, city you're in, didn't really affect us because we created a wonderful home that we love being in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how many people hate where you're in? Like you
Yeah.
want to get out. Well, what do? Maybe buy yourself some flowers, get them delivered, maybe get some essential oils, maybe choose some beautiful artwork like you have there. Anything to help you focus on the beauty that's around you, which will
Yes.
restore your
Side.
soul.
Let's now talk about the topical side, right?
Yeah.
Or what we can do to actually impact our health and our skin, right? What are some of the things we can do with essential oils there?
So going back to the olfactory system, which plays into the topical aspect, the quickest way of affecting your brain chemistry is through inhalation. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's through inhaling something. So when you apply an essential oil topically, essentially you're a walking diffuser, right? I want you to think about that for just a minute. You will become, your body will adapt. And going back to the adaptive response I was talking about with the synthetic chemicals, your body will quickly adapt where you won't even smell the noxious smell, or you won't even smell the smell anymore. Like right now, I don't smell what's in my diffuser. My body's adapted to it. It's been going on for 20 minutes, right? In my office here. So when you apply an essential oil on your body, especially if you're applying it on your chest or your trunk or your abdomen or your neck, you're going to get that inhalation benefit. You literally are walking around and the particles are being emitted. They're being evaporated off as you don't even see it. You don't realize
Mm-hmm.
it. But what's happening also is when you apply them with dilution guidelines, and this is really important, just don't slather essential oils on your skin. You could burn your skin. You can cause sensitization.
Guilty.
Don't do it, right?
Right.
When you dilute them properly, again, all the dilution charts are things in my book, The Healing Power of Essential Oils. When you dilute them properly, what happens is research has shown within minutes, within 5 minutes, essential oil compounds have been detected, will be in your bloodstream.
Wow.
Think about that for just a moment. We've been told our skin's the largest organ. We've been told that what you put on your skin gets into your body. It's real. Now, not 100% of the compounds that you put on your skin will go into your body. There is a barrier and there will be protection, but a significant amount. And we don't have a percentage. I wish I knew, but I've actually tried to look this up. People have said, 60% of everything you put on your skin. No, we can't prove any of that. But what we can show is that we can detect the chemicals. But here's the cool thing. Within an hour and a half to 2 hours, no detection, which means your body completely metabolizes these things. Why? Because they're secondary metabolites. They're bioactive compounds. They're completely natural. Even though they're man-made, even though they are manufactured because you have to distill them from plants, the body knows what to do with it. Well,
they're man processed.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, right. Nature made them.
Yes.
And that's why your body knows what to do with them, because it recognizes it.
Unlike all the chemical creams, unlike those anti-aging products that people wear filled with phthalates and parfum and tar and all these chemicals that we don't want, the body doesn't know what to do with it. So what happens with those chemicals? The body can't metabolize it properly. So what all ends up happening is there's biochemical buildup, usually in the adipose cells, your fat cells, or it can affect your liver, your kidneys. I mean, again, when your body doesn't, when your waste system can't properly function,
eliminate.
What is it going to do? If it can't function, if it doesn't detect, it's like what's happening,
Mhm.
people don't realize, right? It was scary. Everyone's freaking out. They're finding coronavirus in tap water. They're finding coronavirus through the sewer system. Why? Because our system wasn't set up to filter that out. They're finding pharmaceuticals in tap water. Why? Because our system wasn't set up to filter that out. Your body's system isn't set up to filter out the synthetic chemicals that are in your anti-aging and skincare products.
That's right.
So it's creates chaos in the
And
body.
fat cells are prime for that
Yes.
because they're storage centers. They pull things in. And that's why we've talked about this on the show before. I just want to allude to it. When people lose weight suddenly, very often they don't feel well because
Yes.
their fat cells are releasing not just fat, but anything that's bound to fat. That's the thing, right? A lot of these toxins are fat soluble. They love fat and they connect to fat, right? Especially the phthalates and the parabens and things like that. They all
Yep.
love fat.
That's a
So
good
anyway,
point.
it's a great
And
point.
that's why, hey, here's a pro tip for people. This is free. I won't charge you for this one. What you just shared is exactly why oil pulling works. Ever hear of oil pulling where you simply put a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil or sesame seed oil in your mouth and you swish it around your mouth for 10, 15 minutes? Because the fat soluble toxins, which your toothpaste can't take out with your triclosan alcohol ridden mouthwash can't take out. Again, don't use that stuff. What happens is the oil pulling natural takes out those fat soluble toxins and gives you oral health. But you know what? And give me a tip. Put a drop of peppermint or a drop of clove in your oil pulling regimen like I did today, and the essential oils can help. And another free tip, which we have to not worry about, is essential oils killing your microbiome. We have no research at all to suggest, because essential oils, because they're natural, have what's known as cell selectivity. It's like they're alive. They have this innate vibration frequency to them where they will not attack your body. Where in research studies, in vitro studies with cancer, essential oils will attack and kill the cancer cells, but leave the healthy cells alone. Essential oils will hurt the pathogenic bacteria, but leave the healthy bacteria alone. On your skin, in your mouth, in your gut, it's nature in its greatest
Wow.
wisdom. So you don't
I
have to
had no
worry. You
idea.
don't have to worry. I
Yeah.
get that question all the time. Well, am I going to hurt my gut microbiome or my skin microbiome? No. As long as you use them properly. Yeah, if you slather them on without thinking, but if you use them properly, if you follow the charts in our books, and if you dilute them, you're good to go. And dilution is really easy. It's basically a bunch of a carrier oil with a little bit of essential oil. And what's a carrier oil? It could be anything in your kitchen, olive or coconut oil. You could do more traditional aromatherapy oils like jojoba or sweet almond, shea butter, like anything. I mean, anything, a fatty substance, a fatty oil can be a carrier oil, and it helps emoliate the skin. It also helps prevent off gassing too, because these things are
Holds
expensive.
it in.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
it
It
holds
creates a
it in
barrier.
because
You're getting it.
that's great. Because if you put a drop of essential oil on the counter, it's gone, right?
Yep.
It's aromatized.
But
Hello.
not with the
That's
oil. So when you're
great.
putting essential oils on your skin and you're giving yourself a moisturizer, we
You're like
literally
locking
anoint
them
our
in.
kids every day, our babies, and we just use them in proper proportions. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, they're safe on children. Again, our infant, we have a 3-week old right now as we speak.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
have, yeah, we have a wonderful, highly diluted, a couple drops per ounce of essential oil, a couple drops of oil per ounce of carrier oil. We have this wonderful, beautiful, like citrusy lemon. We love orange and vanilla.
Mhm.
So that's his body lotion, and
Oh,
the
I
baby's
love
skin soaks it
it.
up. It's completely safe.
And I think
Um,
people overdo it. In America, at least, it's more is better. Everything is
exactly.
always the bigger, the better,
Yep.
more is better. And so for me, even with my diffuser, I find myself like evolving into 15 drops of oil, and I don't need all
Gonna
that.
give yourself a headache. And there is such a thing
Yeah.
as too much too. It's overwhelming, right?
Yeah,
You're right.
right.
Just a couple.
Absolutely.
Just a couple. And the research studies, and we're talking
Mm,
research showing in my upcoming book next year, it it doesn't cease to, I guess I have a kitty, like a child giddiness and excitement. It's like, wow, again, it's like I can't get tired of this over and over. Just
mm-mm.
a couple drops of essential oil. My next book is talking about recovering all the chronic diseases, every chronic disease right now that are the main causes of death, including cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, stroke. We're covering all that with the recent, and we're talking thousands, actually thousands.
Right.
I quote, I forget 500, 600 studies in my book alone. And
Mhm.
so just to know research is coming out, not daily, but weekly, monthly,
Mhm.
substantiating this stuff. And it's usually just a little. It's never like you need to
Yeah.
have a ton. You just need a little to let the body moving. But going back in a big circle, going back to why I mentioned about the metabolism, there's no fear, there's no concern. It's kind of cool to know that your body can completely metabolize oils. But in an hour and a half, the oils are out of your system. So what does that mean? Well, if you're trying to do something like have a topical oil for bug spray, got to apply it every 2 hours. This ain't DEET. DEET is unnatural. The reason why DEET works for 24 hours is because there is a horrible chemical surfactant that keeps it on your skin. It's like glue to your skin. Essential oils don't do that. So if you want to moisturize, if you're trying to treat a burn or something, you have to apply it every couple hours, right? And also, if you're trying to treat a disease, again, under the guidance of your healthcare professional, if you're under any medication, you need to apply 2-3 doses a day. It's just not one and done. So it's just a different mindset. And when you're doing anything natural, give yourself some patience, give it some time. Nature works in her timing. Medicine works in a very ungodly now kind of way. And there's virtually no infection that we can't properly treat with essential oils, but no, it's not going to have the same impact as an antifungal or antiviral, antibacterial. It's not going to be a quick nuclear bomb. It's more of a strategic sniper approach that will take your body a couple days. Anyway, so many things, but
I
I want,
love, oh, gosh, I could do this all day. So, okay, so moisturizer. I know women, we talk a lot about finding products that are as clean as possible. If you're going to put it on your skin every day, several times a
yeah.
day, or at least 2 times a day, it should be clean. And so, what are some of the oils that you like to blend again with a carrier oil for women's skincare?
Yeah, and the one, well, the one that really sticks out, but there are several in women's health per se. There are certain oils that just work for women, and it's important to realize that essential oils. And I don't want to trip up on my words because this is really really important. There are bad studies out there that suggest that essential oils are estrogenic and have a estrogen producing dominant effect. Here's how we look at essential oils. And when you talk about women, we have to talk about estrogen because that's a big key for aging, right? So when we're talking about essential oils, what they are, they're known harmonizers. They produce harmony in the body. It's actually a term in the medical literature, harmonization. So if you need an increase of or a decrease of whatever it might be, blood pressure, blood glucose, whatever it might be to help with aging, your body will respond to the essential oils because it gives the essential oil what your body needs to regulate. All right. So when it comes to estrogen, which a lot of women are dominant of or lacking of, you don't have to worry when it comes to essential oils. So the lavender, the clary sages, and the geraniums, the rose geranium is another one that women like to smell of. These are wonderful oils for the skin. And you can apply them without concern, especially, and I'm mentioning this because many women come to us with estrogen dominant cancer, or they have estrogen dominant cancer in their family line, and they're just concerned. So they're completely avoiding lavender and clary sage and the geraniums, and they're like,
Mhm.
no, 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 don't worry about that. You really don't have to worry about that. And that's from the most renowned essential oil experts. I'll name him, not doctor, but Robert Tisserand, who wrote the Essential Oil Safety
Love it.
Manual,
Brilliant.
quote unquote. There's no research. This is from the actual research itself. But I want to go back and be like, okay, when you use essential oils, just know and recognize that it will produce harmony and help your body. So with that said, again, I just listed those three: lavender, clary sage, and geranium, which are wonderful for skin health. But helichrysum is one that you will find in most of your anti-aging and healthy skin blends that your favorite essential oil company sells. There is a wonderful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory capacity within helichrysum. And the herb itself has been known for centuries as the fountain of youth or immortelle. So
Mhm.
that's the Latinese to it. That's the Latin name of it, immortelle. That is the wonderful um, nickname that people are looking at it because women are looking for essentially to oxygenate their skin. They
Mhm.
want to create a feeling of youthfulness. They want a glow. Now, the concern that we have with recommending a standard carrier oil is it really all depends on your skin type. right?
Yep.
And so that's where I'm going to you have to do a little bit of research. You really got to dig a little bit deep in, but you got to be careful. Like for me, coconut oil, because I have greasy skin, is going to cause breakouts every single time. I have to use a
Right.
non-greasy oil like a sweet almond or a jojoba. You'll just figure it out. My body does well with olive oil. Which is nice, right? So you'll find what works for you, but it does take a little bit of trial and error. My wife loves a mixture, and you could buzz it up yourself with some shea butter, some vitamin E, and some aloe. It's a wonderful, you buzz that up. Even if it's too thick, depending on the shea butter that you get, you can add a little
Yeah.
bit of a carrier
Right in
oil.
the
But
KitchenAid.
yeah,
Like
have a
right in the
souffle.
kitchen. That's right. Yep.
Make a souffle. My wife does that. I mean, that's what we've been putting on her baby, head to toe, and she loves it for her skin. A couple other oils for people rose. Can't forget rose.
Rose. Love
Rose,
it.
but rose
Yeah.
is expensive. And I know that. So rose you'll get for a couple $100, literally $200 for a bottle. So what
But what
you'll
we're
do,
hearing you say is you're talking about 3 drops in an ounce, like really small amounts
yes,
in carrier oils. So get the tiniest amount you can buy. Resist the
or
urge to
blends.
buy volume or get a
See,
blend.
that's where,
Yeah, that's great too.
and pre-diluted rollers. A lot of companies now are selling a
Mm,
roller bottle pre-diluted with a couple drops of rose, and you'll save a
that's
ton of
great.
money by doing that as well. So other than
My
that,
favorite perfume is like that, where it's not actually perfume, it's essential oils. But
yeah,
I just love it. Okay, wonderful. So, gosh, we're covering so much, but I have some questions too. Organic, does it matter?
no,
Right?
no, no.
Tell us this.
There's no way to avoid it. I mean, really, there's been research. There's a research conference in Italy in 2014 that was groundbreaking because they evaluated pesticides and chemical from quote unquote organic citrus fruits and non-organic citrus fruits. And there's no way, even the organic farm, because of Monsanto literally being
Yeah,
five,
you
ten
can't
miles away.
help that. Yeah,
So what
right.
you want, and this is the solution though. So organic doesn't matter. It really doesn't. What you want is organic in nature. You want indigenous sourcing. You want plants that are wild crafted if possible. You want plants that are growing naturally in an area which is not near. So you can find oils, and all the oils we get are organic, but none of them have pesticides in them. And so
Mm-hmm.
most,
That's the key. So
if not
look up,
all, yeah.
research the companies
Well,
and
the thing
and
is, they'll
don't
list the
stop with
report.
just their marketing. Look for the report. That's
Yeah.
right.
Look up their GCMS. Look up for the gas chromatography mass spectrometry report. It'll say within normal limits. It'll say if there's any chemicals in it. That's it. Every company that's good now, I will make that quote or that definitive
Mm-hmm.
statement. Good companies have transparency, and they will have batch specific reports. It will say pesticides detected. And what company is going to say that? I mean, so
Right.
they're going to make sure they're selling the right stuff. I mean, think of
That's
it.
right. They're
Right?
not going to put that up there.
Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough for spending time with us. If you don't have it, look it up. The Healing Power of Essential Oils. We'll put a link here in the show notes. We'll put a link to naturallivingfamily.com, although I just said it, so you can go there. It's been wonderful to have you here today to share all of your immense wisdom. And we just scratched the surface. I know you've been at this for a very long time,
We
but
need a
thank you
part
so
two.
much. Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fun. It's been great.
you bet. All right, so here we are with another week of Evolving Ageless with Dr. Eric Z. Hopefully you learned a little something that you can bring into your life. Maybe toss those candles. Maybe just try a couple of oil blends that you might want to bring into your home this holiday season. Either way, I will be here next week at the same time, and I look forward to sharing another expert that helps us evolve ageless. Bye for now.